Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you step into the room, make sure to hit that like button, excuse me. You see the goal. I would love to reach that goal. It'd be very great to do so. But you know what? First and foremost, happy Valentine's Day for all those who celebrate this day. Um, Obviously, for me, it's a bittersweet day, but you know what? We're going to make the best of it. And I'm not going to be on too long. But I do want to get this off of my chest because I did tell you all about Big Ben Roethlisberger. And listen, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Hey, Cheryl Burnett, happy Valentine's Day to you. You know I had to go in on this. I don't know how much you heard about Joey Porter, and not only Joey Porter, but Mike Mitchell and Mike Adams, who was one of his offensive linemen, also backed up one Joey Porter Sr. And let's face it, you know as well as I do, Cheryl, that Big Ben Roethlisberger, in his prime, was he a great quarterback? Yes. Was he the best quarterback in the NFL? Absolutely not. But it's not even about that. You know, for him, let me start. Yes, all of them did, but they were right about Big Ben. But let me tell you the cold, hard truth about Big Ben Grapelessberger. Yeah, I said it. Big Ben Roethlisberger was never the leader. Never a true leader, anyway. And everybody knew it. Big Ben Roethlisberger's reading of defenses left many to be desired. That's why he played a lot of schoolyard football, because he would have trouble reading defenses. All you had to do, and Big Ben would put up colossally great numbers against teams like the Colts that played a lot of man-to-man and played a lot of cover 2 zone, or cover 0, because he could pick up the blitz in his prime. Now, as he got older, he lost his mobility, of course, and he lost his fastball once he had hurt his elbow, and he was never the same. In fact, the Steelers really should have cut bait with Big Ben 4 years prior to him retiring. And I'm pretty sure that Miss Cheryl Burnett will back me on that, being the Steeler fan that she is. Even though I tell you, at this rate, we became the Dallas Cowboys. And that's what it's looking like right now. Excuse me. But let's face it, when Big Ben was a rookie, he walked into the best of teams. And the reason I'm saying that is, when he came into the locker room, this is how strong the Steeler locker room was when he started in 2004. James Farrior was a huge reason, and he was the unquestioned leader of the defense. You had Casey Hampton. I'm just talking about the defensive side of the ball. I didn't even touch the offensive side yet. Aaron Smith. You had Ike Taylor. It was Chris Hope, the first championship, not Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark was the second championship. Larry Foote was also on that team, if I'm not mistaken. Troy was still a very young player. Oh, excuse me, I need some water. Just a moment. And I would be remiss if I don't mention a guy who really doesn't get brought up a lot when it comes to Steeler history. And he's played in the secondary for a long time for the Steelers. And he's one of the most underrated players in Pittsburgh Steelers history. And his name is Deshae Townsend. Thank you. Now, again, that was the defensive side of football. And, of course, Mike Tomlin. I mean, no, it wasn't Mike Tomlin. Excuse me. It was Coach Cowher. If I'm not mistaken, the offensive coordinator was Ken Wisenhunt. And, of course, it was Dick LeBeau on the defensive side of the football as the defensive coach. But on the offensive side, we know that Jerome Bettis held a lot of weight in that Steeler locker room, and not just physically. Hines Ward, one of the leaders. Jeff Hardings was the center because, if I'm not mistaken, Marquise Pouncey did not come on until 2010. Plaxico Burress was on that team. In fact, if you remember, Plaxico Burress bailed Big Ben out of a lot of circumstances his rookie year. I still am upset that the Steelers, even though the Steelers won the Super Bowl a couple of times after he left, I was furious that Plaxico Burress went to the New York Football Giants, because Plaxico Burress was, before he shot his leg, man, Plaxico Burress was an outright stud. An outright stud. Heath Miller was on that team. He was, in fact, I believe he was a rookie also. Who else was on that? I think Deuce Staley was on this the second year. No, he was on the first team. Deuce Staley was there. I'll take that back. Deuce Staley, in fact, Deuce Staley was the leading rusher that year, if I'm not mistaken. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. Big Ben was never the leader of that team until, but by the time Big Ben became the leader of the team, Big Ben was throwing people left and right under the bus. In fact, before Antonio Brown started melting down, it was Big Ben Roethlisberger that would chew him up. Oh, he ran the wrong route. He did this. He did that. And these guys got tired of it because, first of all, he put the Steelers in such a ridiculous position with the grape allegations. And yes, I have to say grape for obvious reasons. We know that's a trigger word on these YouTube streets, and rightfully so. I mean, let's think about it. This idiot didn't even wear a helmet when he crashed his bike and he almost lost his life. That's how smart Big Ben was, okay? And this was 2008 Big Ben. This wasn't even rookie Big Ben. This was Ben as an established veteran, 4 years in the league. That's how stupid he is, or was. Now, I'm pretty sure that no, I'll take that back. I was going to say he's matured, but you saw the way he conducted himself. Oh, Mike Tomlin, maybe he needs to go coach Penn State. Big Ben, shut up and take several seats. By the time he was pretty much the unquestioned leader of the team, when the Steelers won, it was great. When the Steelers lost, it was somebody else's fault. It was never his until it was like 2 days later and somebody had to remind him. The guy who got the most out of Big Ben, even though he was closer to Bruce Arians, in fact, I believe he was the offensive coordinator the second season that the Steelers won the Super Bowl and he had the great drive. If I'm not mistaken, Bruce Arians was either the quarterback's coach or the offensive coordinator of the Steelers at that time. But if you look at Big Ben's career numbers, he had his best success under a guy that he couldn't stand, and every minute he threw him under the bus. And you remember him, Steeler fans, Todd Haley. Now, I had some problems with Todd Haley's play calling too, because he was one of those guys who wanted to reinvent the wheel on 4th and short and pull some razzle-dazzle plays instead of saying, you know what, here, Le'Veon Bell, take the football. He sort of pulled a Pete Carroll, so to speak, in the Super Bowl. We all remember how Marshawn Lynch was killing the New England Patriots, but they decided, oh, we're going to put it in Russell Wilson's hands. And we all know how that worked out. That's what Todd Haley did. In fact, I never forgave Todd Haley for that incredible loss at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that would turn out to be the last playoff game that the Killer Bees ever played in. Again, go ahead, please hit the like button. Thank you all once again. The last time the Steelers made the AFC Championship game was 2016. And in that game, Le'Veon Bell got hurt, I believe in the middle of the first quarter, and the game was never in doubt. New England buried us. And if you remember the week prior, Antonio Brown aired out the locker room, destroying the sanctity of the locker room. And if you guys remember, I wanted Antonio Brown gone the next day. I didn't care about a playoff game because what he did was ridiculous. But this was all under Big Ben's so-called tutelage. See, it was terrible for other players to call other players out. And listen, I'm not excusing Antonio Brown by any stretch of the imagination. Antonio Brown was an absolute disgrace at the end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this is the secret of why Mike Tomlin was a great coach. Now, it was time for Mike to go. But to bring in Mike McCarthy, you can't do it. But I digress. This is about Big Ben Roethlisberger. See, Mike Tomlin was the deodorant that the Steelers needed for 19 years. Because he covered up a lot of the infighting, as you can see. Look at how, once Mike Tomlin stepped away, look at all the infighting that has come out of the blue in regards to not only Big Ben Roethlisberger, but if you're a Steeler fan, you already knew that there was ridiculous friction between Ryan Clark and Antonio Brown. There was friction between Big Ben Roethlisberger and half the offensive line. We already know about the friction between him and Antonio Brown. Because to be honest, Big Ben started it. Now, Antonio Brown finished it, but Big Ben absolutely started this. There was friction between Le'Veon Bell and the offensive line because a lot of people on the offensive line felt that Le'Veon Bell did not give the offensive line the credit that it deserved. And at that time, I have to be fair, the Steelers' offensive line was great. When we had Pouncey, I forgot who the right tackle, the right guard was. Before he got hurt, he was an all-pro. But see, that's the nature of football. Because I tell you what, that was the one time where the offensive line for the Steelers was rock solid. And we grounded and pounded. And Le'Veon Bell was the best running back in pro football. But it was never enough because the defense was dreadful. But just when the defense seemed like it was rounding into form, that's when the unfortunate thing happened to Ryan Shazier. And that was a terrible form tackle by him. And he's paying for it for the rest of his life, unfortunately. And the Steelers have never quite replaced him at the inside linebacker position. Now, they've had good outside linebacker play. They've had good edge rusher play. But listen, Patrick Queen was just now starting to play decent football for the Steelers this season. But even he hasn't lived up to his hype. And Ryan Shazier just has not been replaced by the Steelers. But yes, as you can see, there's been a lot of infighting when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was covered up for such a long time by Mike Tomlin. And now the proverbial chickens have come home to roost when it's come to the Steelers and its organization. Now, part of the reason they got Mike McCarthy was, number one, they wanted, for some ungodly reason, to try and keep Aaron Rodgers another season. I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers even take out the trash for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't want him anywhere near the damn stadium. But unfortunately, the Rooney family feels otherwise. I don't know what the heck Art Rooney III is doing. I'm ready to, oh man, I'm just sick of him. But also, he's supposed to develop Will Howard or the so-called quarterback of the future, whether it be this season or the next season. Obviously, the Steelers are going to need a quarterback. I don't think Will Howard is going to be the answer. I just don't. And I don't want to hear, well, he won at Ohio State. Did you see the team that he had around him? Please. He was throwing the first round picks all over the place. We see what Smith and Jigma is. Did you see that this season? And what he did for Seattle? Made Sam Darnold look like a competent NFL quarterback? Please. Will Howard was so good, he would have played this year. He would have played over Mason Rudolph, but he was hurt. Hey, cuz, how are you? Hey, both Cheryls are here. I love you too. And happy Valentine's Day to you, cuz. But am I shocked that all these players are speaking out against Big Ben Roethlisberger? Absolutely not. And this is Big Ben's doing. And I don't feel bad for him one iota. As much as sometimes I get on Terry Bradshaw, and sometimes Terry Bradshaw drives me up the wall, especially with his criticism of Mike Tomlin, because ironically, Mike Tomlin was the type of coach that Terry Bradshaw would have loved to have played for because he always took the brunt of everything for his team. Terry Bradshaw, remember, was crying about Chuck Noll. It was too tough on me. I wanted to be held. I love you too, cuz. Oh, bless you. Bless you so much. But see, and we know that Terry Bradshaw has a love-hate relationship, of course, with Chuck Noll, who passed away, God rest his soul. the greatest coach in the history of, in my opinion, of pro football, short of Vince Lombardi. Oh, well, I'm telling the truth. You can't be nice all the time. The truth is not always nice. And the truth is, Terry Bradshaw wanted to be coddled and held. And listen, this is a grown man's business. You're not going to get held and coddled, especially in the 70s, and especially under Chuck Noll. This is the same Chuck Noll who will tell you, well, he's obviously not here to tell us anymore, but on more than one occasion, he said, listen, I will cut you if I have to motivate you. I mean, he was the original Belichick when it comes to that, but he didn't cheat like Belichick did. That's why Chuck Noll is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and Bill Belichick still has to get the price of admission in order to get to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But I digress. The one thing that Bradshaw, and listen, Bradshaw again drove me up the wall. But here's the difference between Terry Bradshaw. There's 3 subtle differences, and this is why us older Steeler fans will always hold Terry Bradshaw in a higher esteem than Big Ben Roethlisberger. Number 1, he called his own plays. Number 2, he didn't throw any of his teammates under the bus, especially not publicly. Maybe privately, we don't know. But publicly, he never did that. And Franco Harris swore by him, loved him. He would speak highly of Smart and Stallworth. The way Big Ben talked about Antonio Brown was ridiculous. As you notice, none of these guys came to Big Ben's aid. That should tell you something right there. The one thing about the old Steelers, Mean Joe Green said, you know what? It always stuck with me because Terry Bradshaw would say, you can't win without me. And he would acknowledge, you know what? That really stuck. And Terry Bradshaw did something that Big Ben never did. 2 things that Big Ben never did. Won an NFL MVP because he was the MVP of the 1978 season, the greatest team of all time, the 78 Pittsburgh Steelers. And he was a 2-time, even though he should have been really a 1-time at most, a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. And Big Ben Roethlisberger was dreadful in the big game, short of the greatest 2-minute drive in Super Bowl history. And that was top Big Ben. And even that year was not Ben's greatest. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns when they won that second Lombardi under Mike Tomlin. Look it up. Charlie Batch had better numbers than Big Ben. Charlie Batch saved the Steelers' season coming off the bench winning a couple of games. He had more control in the locker room than Big Ben did. That's why they played their butts off for Charlie Batch, for Byron Leftwich. Big Ben definitely had a great, strong arm. There's no question about it. He gave us plenty thrills as a Steeler fan. But he also gave us a lot of head scratchers. I still see that Miles Jack pick 6 against Jacksonville. That was one of the worst passes I just couldn't believe it. A child could see that. Miles Jack undercutting the route. Everybody saw it but Big Ben Grapeless-Burger. There's certain times he makes me sick. And I understand that Bradshaw's numbers are pale in comparison, but it was a different league back then. He didn't check the ball down. He threw deep. Super Bowl 10, he was 9 of 19. That is not great. Oh, be careful. Be careful. Don't be doxing yourself on here, but you know what? I'm glad that I know that. And I'm definitely going to check you out. You know I love you, cuz. I'm just telling you this for your own good, because these people are treacherous on these YouTube streets. I was such a fan of the Steelers. I'm make nice of you know I love you. I'm just telling I just don't want these people. We don't, you know how many people watching this? Shoot. These people are not, some of these people are not well. They are not well. But you know I got you though. You don't have to worry about that. But yeah, Big Ben Roethlisberger is very, very reckless and was a horrible teammate. And listen, there are no choir boys in the NFL. We know that. And sometimes in the heat of battle, things happen. We saw Brady Belichick explode, which is why Tom Brady ended up a Tampa Bay Buck and was not a lifelong Patriot. So this is nothing new. And this is nothing just with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I remember the Sims Parcells thing. They used to be livid on the sideline. But the key difference was Parcells respected the hell out of Phil Simms. No, trust me, I will have a video about not only Epstein, but I'm also going to go down the other rabbit hole when it comes to Miss Guthrie, because there's a lot dealing with that. But yeah, the Epstein files, of course. And the Epstein files have not gone the way a lot of people thought it would go. Because let's face it, to be honest, the Clintons are looking a lot worse than Donald Trump is right now. And I didn't think anybody saw that coming. They're ducking subpoenas left and right, like they were playing dodgeball. Well, yeah, that's I mean, a lot. If you're a New Yorker, I mean, we remember Donald Trump in the '80s. I'm just saying, he was a jet setter. But we will definitely talk about that soon, among other things. Hold on, cuz we don't want to we don't want to spill all the tea now. Hold on. We're gonna get to that at another time. That will be another live stream, cuz. In fact, might have to have you join me on one of these live streams soon enough. Yeah, 411. That's a well, that's another celebrity, but I know you know who I'm talking about, cuz. What's the 411, hun? Baby, but I'm not. That will be another time. You know. Oh man. Make sure to hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my 30 minutes is up. I will probably come on in another couple of hours because I do want to play some Valentine's. Oh no, get rid of that cuss word, even though you did spell it different. No, I'll let that pass. I'll let that pass. That's cool. That's cool. that double T saved it. Thank you so much. Thank you, cuz. But Big Ben really needs to be quiet. I know you do. I'd like to thank Miss Cheryl Burnett and my cousin Cheryl. I'd like to thank all those in the clouds and all those in the bushes. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Uncle Claude signing out. Take care. Stay safe. God bless. And once again, happy Valentine's Day. Good night, everybody.